we are going to react to Laura Fryer's video. All right. This particular video is a video that essentially is talking about the current state of the gaming industry from all sides, right? So it's talking about it from the side of gamers, and it's talking about it from the side of developers, and it's essentially trying to say that we are at odds with each other. We are essentially at war with each other, and she doesn't quite understand how we got here. Now, I feel like, not that it's disingenuous, I just feel like if you're somebody like Laura Fryer, who has all this experience, somebody who has seen the industry for the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, surely you must understand, at least at a basic level, and I think she does express that in this video, you must understand at a basic level why this is happening, right? Why exactly is this going down? If you're asking who is Laura Fryer, Weenie for Sweeney, Laura Fryer is a extremely well-known developer, game developer who worked for some major titles like Gears of War. She head up a lot of studios for a lot of major titles. So she knows exactly what she's doing. She's been in the business, and she is an example of a woman who made it during a time before DEI. She is a woman that made it based on merit way back in the day, and she led teams based on her merit, not based on the fact that she was a woman. So anyway, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over this video, and let's see what she's got to say. Because I think we're going to agree on a lot of things and probably disagree on some things, but we'll see if she understands. And I'll let you guys kind of chime in throughout the video. Let's see. Here we go.
I'm outside the Best Buy in Midtown. It's raining here in New York, but these gamers don't care. They've been out here in the rain since early this morning, and they're not leaving until they get an Xbox.
You know what I love about these old videos? Because she tends to show these old videos a lot. And I'm very happy that she does show these old videos. You know what I love about them? I love these old videos because these videos expose the tourists in the gaming industry. They do. These old videos where they showcase like some of the older midnight releases and stuff like that. These videos expose the tourists in the gaming industry in the sense that they expose that all this bullshit that gaming journos, media, and people as a whole tried to lie to you about how gaming was a white man's thing and that there was no diversity in the gaming industry prior to all these DEI mandates and all this bullshit. These videos prove that wrong. They prove that wrong because I guarantee you in these videos, you are going to see all kinds of people lined up waiting to do whatever at a midnight release, right? It proves that the gaming industry and gaming fandom, specifically gaming fandom, was extremely diverse naturally, and it has always been that way. It has been that way since the beginning, but they will try to put it out there as like, oh, that was never the case until we came in and saved it, right? It was never diverse until consultancy firms decided to force it on people and make it happen for the good of the, the industry. It's completely bullshit. Anyway, let's go. Let's continue.
360.
Came out, man, I was hooked. Tree.
Bro, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is literally in the pudding, guys.
What's going on?
Remember when a new game dropping felt like Christmas morning for both the players and the devs? You would have these midnight launches where gamers would line up for hours to be the first to buy a new Xbox or the latest Halo. It was magical. And if a game ended up flopping, no big deal. Better luck next time. But that's not what's happening today. Take Marathon. It launches and it becomes the hill to die on. You have
I don't think it was no big deal if a game flopped back in the day. I think there were people that were celebrating certain video games flopping. But see, here's the problem, right? A lot of information regarding video game performance was kept extremely secret, right? Uh, the whole like Steam charts thing, you know, if gaming was primarily happening on consoles, don't get me wrong, PC gaming was always huge. But if gaming was happening primarily on Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, all that information was kept secret for the most part. So you really weren't going to be able to have that conversation, and developers would try everything possible to hide that information, just like they do today. They do that today. What makes you think they weren't doing that years ago if they do that today? They try to hide all that information, you know? But the truth is that there were some people that were hoping that certain games would flop, but I think it's more so tied to the console wars than the actual games. I think there was a lot of fanboyism happening, or at least fanboyism growing, which eventually led to the console wars as we knew them. But again, it all depends on the time of which she's talking about, which from what I saw people wearing Halo t-shirts, so I got to imagine it's around that time period. But anyway, here we go.
Fans attacking anyone with even mild criticism, and haters
let me go
to
back.
die on. You have rabid fans attacking anyone with even mild criticism, and haters grave dancing on the game before it's even been out for one day.
True.
Bungie already had to rush out patches for microtransaction complaints and audio changes, yet the negativity keeps rolling. It feels like some people are treating the whole thing like a spectator sport.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? Why do game developers...
So really quick. So it's in my opinion that the reason why they treat video games like Marathon, for example, as a spectator sport in terms of like internet culture wars is because I think Marathon represents something that a lot of people hate, which is the consistent pushing of live service garbage. I think it's the fact that it's live service garbage is what's making people really want to see this game die off. Because for every single live service game that dies off, that is another message that's sent to these studios to stop this bullshit, which results, by the way, in a lot of these studios second guessing a lot of the projects that they have. It's the reason why Sony canceled 8 out of 14 of their live, or what was it? No, I'm sorry, 8 out of 12. They canceled 8 out of 12 live service video games before they even saw the light of day, right? They probably wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a walking on eggshells kind of scenario when it came to live service games. They probably wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for the massive failure that was Concord and the spectacle that came from it, right? Everybody was making fun of Sony and just laughing at the amount of money that they lost chasing live service fucking garbage. So not only that, Marathon also has a lot of hatred because while this is like the 5th time that Bungie was caught stealing assets and art from someone and trying to get away with it, so there was that whole spectacle, and then it just turns into nonsense. But it's nonsense for a reason. That's the thing. I don't like for people to pretend like the nonsense is just nonsense. The nonsense is happening for a reason. It's always happening for a reason. Nobody just gets up and say, you know what? Yeah, I want to hate that game. Nobody, like, it doesn't happen on a mass scale like that unless there's a reason for it to happen. But anyway, let's continue.
And gamers feel like enemies. Why don't we feel like teammates anymore? What happened to the camaraderie that we had in the past? Well, for starters, the industry used to be much smaller. When I started playing games, I was the weird one. When I started making them, everyone thought I was crazy. The teams were small. There were 10 to 100 people, and they were passion projects.
So can I double up on that? So the development side of things was smaller, right? But it's not just the development side of things that was smaller. It was the industry as a whole from a gamer perspective that was smaller too, right? The moment the fucking industry went mainstream, the moment they started inviting in all these fucking suits, the people that took over companies like Blizzard, right? Original Blizzard, the moment they started coming in and you started having CFOs and fucking financial officers and all, once you started having all this go down, that was it. That was it. Once it became mainstream, once it goes mainstream, then the next step is it becomes corporatized. After it becomes corporatized, that's it. That's it. Like in terms of passion, in terms of creativity, that all goes out the fucking window. It literally all just becomes about metrics and statistics. That's all it becomes, which is so funny because these same developers, these same higher up executives that will complain about gamers using the Steam DB numbers as a metric to measure success and performance of a video game, these are the same fucking executives and developers that will go to their own developers and use those same numbers as a metric of success to figure out whether or not they want to fire people or not. It's so crazy. So like they can use metrics, they can use statistics, but gamers, no, you're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. What's wrong with you? Why are you thinking? You can't be thinking. Don't think. Don't think. Just buy product. That's it. You know,
the game developers were gamers because many of them started by modding in their garages.
That's true. That is true. A lot of Blizzard employees were people that got jobs because of their amazing work modding Warcraft. I mean, it's just it really was a way for people to get their name out there. Like, hey, I want to be part of this, big company or whatever. Look what I could do. A lot of people would use their modding as a form of a resume. And it's not just Blizzard, but again, I'm just using that as an example. A lot of studios hired people that, were modding in their free time and showed that they have the ability to work their systems and work it the right way and make content for that game. They
were the audience. So there was no disconnect. They didn't need a big playtest group because they could tell if what they were making was fun. And they didn't face the issue a lot of devs face today in big studios where they land on a game that they wouldn't play themselves.
Yep.
There was definitely some competitiveness, but it was all in fun. Peter Moore, who ran Xbox back in the day, has talked about how he encouraged the console wars. He said he did it because gamers loved seeing the Xbox versus PlayStation arguments.
Can we, oh my God, can we harp on that? So we have somebody who was a head executive, okay, over at Xbox, encouraging the console wars, and encouraging the arguments, right? So if you had the executives encouraging the arguments and the console wars, why the fuck are those same executives, maybe not the same people, but the people that are now in charge, why are they claiming that gaming back in the day was so positive and nobody ever said anything negative? And that it's only now because of YouTubers and the chuds and angry gamers and all that stuff that now all this negativity is affecting the industry and it was never there before. Oh, gaming was so positive back in the day. If you just didn't like something, you didn't say anything. Complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. And this proves it. This has always proved it.
And that healthy competition lifted all ships. Behind the scenes,
they're not the same people. That's my point. That's my point. The ideology has taken over this industry so much that what started as healthy competition, breeding these arguments and having fun. People just had fun. People had fun with the console wars, fighting all the time, arguing all the time. Who's better? Who's this? Who's that? It went from that to stop hurting my feelings. You're not allowed to say these things. There's a reason for that.
Went to each other's parties and we celebrated our gaming wins together. It felt like a real community. It felt like we were all part of the same team and part of the same club. And the talent in the industry was everywhere because making a game was hard and the technical challenges and the speed of change in hardware kept the bar high. It was about your ability to self-teach and quickly understand the latest tech. You didn't go to GDC to sit through a tutorial on how to inject climate change themes into your game.
This is why, again, I don't think I would agree on everything Laura Fryer says, but the fact that she calls out the bullshit that these developers are doing at the GDC and just overall their little gatherings and stuff like that, why are you going to the GDC, a games developers conference, to learn about Marxism? Why are you doing that? You guys remember the screenshots from 2017, 2019, somewhere around there, where they literally had a panel talking about Marxism in gaming, how gaming's always political and how gaming can be utilized to push Marxism? It's fucking crazy. Why are you doing that? What is that has nothing to do. And this is why her making this comment about why are you going to the GDC to learn about climate change in games? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Why are we doing this, right? We all know why it's happening. So her saying that is at least calling it out. It's a good thing that she says it.
You went to GDC for survival. You
True.
had to learn from all of the amazing people around you. Look at John Carmack. He didn't have a master's degree in computer science. He dropped out of college after a couple semesters and he taught himself. He co-founded id Software and basically invented the modern first-person shooter with games like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom and Quake.
Yep.
Yes, there was some big money to be made, but it wasn't about that. id Software started with shareware. They would release the first part of the game for free. And if you liked it, you paid for the rest. That's how Doom spread like wildfire and made them successful without giant marketing budgets. And then everything started to change as games moved from counterculture to mainstream.
Damn, look at John Romero's hair back then. Holy shit. That is a majestic head of hair, boys. Oh my God, look at that. Whoa.
Of course, back then, most people had no idea who actually made the games. Most game developers were basically anonymous. John Carmack and John Romero built Doom and Quake, but outside of hardcore PC circles, most gamers didn't even know their faces, and they were easily the most famous game developers back in the day. You didn't see devs on stage giving interviews or posting daily updates. You didn't know their names or what they looked like.
Because they weren't fucking narcissistic. At least not publicly. And to be fair, okay? To be fair, I gotta say this. We don't know what these developers would have been like had they had the ability to utilize social media like modern day developers do, right? We don't know. For all we know, these developers could get their hands, if they were to get, like back in the day, back then, if social media existed back then like it did now, we don't know what they would have acted like. We don't know if they would have been narcissistic on social media like they are now. We have no idea, right? There's obviously a lot of stories about how, you know, certain studios were ran back then and all this, you know, typical bullshit, fucking crazy stories about, oh, you know, they like to party hard or whatever. I don't care, whatever. But again, at the end of the day, what I can say is that most developers back then were developers because they wanted to be. They were very passionate about it. You can see that from a mile away. And a lot of them have stories about how they started off, essentially, like I said earlier, modding video games that they were their favorite video games. Like she just said before, this guy taught himself. He dropped out, taught himself, and ended up creating games like Wolfenstein, Doom. These games are still talked about to this day. You know, so it's a very respectable thing.
The game was the star. Gamers bought it, they played it, and if something was broken, they posted it on a forum or they sent an email. They let the games speak for themselves.
God, look at those
Back
computers.
then, developers were in the trenches making the game, and the players were on the other side enjoying it. There was distance, but it was a healthy distance. That anonymity had real upsides because it allowed the devs to focus on the work instead of managing their public image.
But you know what's funny, though? Developers could do that now. Developers could do that right now. There is no reason why you as a developer should have or should want to have some sort of public-facing social media page that is all about how amazing of a developer you are. Like, I can understand having a LinkedIn page because that's like the professional website, right? That's the website that a lot of employers look at and stuff like that. So that's fine. You want to have a LinkedIn, whatever, have a LinkedIn. But there's no reason you should be out here trying to act like a fucking narcissistic asshole on social media. They're doing that because they want to do that, right? Like there's no rules or regulations saying they have to do that. But in any case, we'll talk about more examples in a minute.
It also meant that when players gave feedback, it usually felt like it was coming from fellow gamers, not enemies. The press were the gatekeepers back then, but reporters mostly focused on the...
It's crazy because the feedback that's coming still to this day is from gamers. The problem is that developers are choosing to ignore it. They're choosing to ignore it. They're choosing to call it harassment. They're choosing to call it hate because due to their narcissism, they don't want to admit that their product just isn't up to par. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Gamers have been giving the same kind of feedback for years. The only difference is that now the means of which we do it is through faster communication thanks to social media, but it is literally the same. And it always has been the same. It's the developers that are choosing to say, you know what, I don't want to listen. This is hate campaigns. This is like, harassment campaigns, whatever. It's unless it's something that's handled with kids' gloves, they don't even want to listen. And even if you handle it with kids' gloves, they still don't want to listen most of the time.
Game, not personal questions. There were some disadvantages because these gatekeepers weren't always fair. I remember when I was working on Gears of War, I also was working on Zoo Tycoon, and no matter how good Zoo was, it usually got lower review scores because it wasn't a hardcore game. So you'd have these outlets who were mainly focused on shooters having to do a review of Zoo. They don't like the genre, so the game didn't do that well. We just ignored most of it and kept going. Then everything accelerated when big business really moved in.
Yep.
Investors could smell the money. And suddenly that old model of make a great game, sell it once and move on wasn't enough anymore.
That's when everything changed, boys. Everything changed when this fucking industry went corporate. Everything changed. And that's how it goes for pretty much any style of industry. Once it goes like mainstream corporate. I mean, look at the anime industry right now. Anime fucking boomed heavily. At least on our side anyway, but it's just how it goes. Anytime it goes mainstream, here comes the nickel and diming. We're gonna figure out how we can nickel and dime you, get every single cent out of you possible. Here come the microtransactions, here come the loot boxes, here comes all this bullshit. Here comes DLC. First it started with DLC. Hey, we can update your favorite video games and add content to it later down the line, a few months later to a year later. And that way you keep getting content out of your favorite game. Hey, by the way, 2 years later, now we're going to be selling you the same DLC that you like, that you love so much, that you've been trained to buy. Now we're going to sell it to you on day one DLC, and we're going to gaslight you. We're going to say that we totally didn't take it out the game. Hey, guys, you want to buy day one DLC? Don't you like that? Don't you like that? You can add more to your game that wasn't there, that was totally there, but we took it out, but we don't want you to know that. It's so gay, bro. It really is gay. Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. I got one even better. I got one even worse than day one DLC. You know what's more offensive than day one DLC? You know what's more offensive? Paid for characters in fighting games. Because when I grew up, I was able to unlock all the fighting characters in a fighting game just by playing the game. The fact that now I get half the roster and I got to pay for the other half that I used to get for free by unlocking them in the game, that is gay. Straight up.
And resellers like GameStop showed up and they started reselling the games many times for a cheaper price. Game makers would invest millions in a single player game and then watch a lot of the money go to the GameStop instead of back to the studio. A popular game could get resold 7 or 8 times, and the developer would only see the money from the first sale. That hurt. And gamers weren't doing anything wrong. They wanted cheaper games. It's understandable what happened.
It's so funny that the used game market, right? The used physical game market is what caused a lot of studios to try to figure out a method and a way that they could continue to nickel and dime gamers and take that money that the retailers were taking by buying and selling used games. Because like she said, if somebody buys a new game, the studio gets the money the first time. Once that game gets bought and resold as a used game, 5, 10, 15 times, they'll never see the money. And they don't like that. It makes them sick. They want to see the money. So that ended up birthing live service video games.
But it made it much harder for the developers to get paid for the work that they were doing. So publishers started chasing the live service dream. Instead of a complete game you buy and own, we got games that are never really done. We have always online requirements, battle passes, digital rights management so they don't lose money on the first day, microtransactions for skins, weapons, or even faster progression. And I saw this shift happen up close. I watched games go from millions to hundreds of millions of dollars, the teams ballooning out of control. The pressure changed from make something fun to you're going to have to hit these engagement metrics and these particular revenue targets.
Yep.
Devs who just wanted to pursue cool gameplay, they started answering to spreadsheets. And the players felt it. You don't really buy the game anymore. You license access to something that can disappear if the server shut down. A single player experience with always online checks, loot boxes, and time limited events. And games started to feel a lot less like entertainment and more like a job with optional
Yep.
spending you could do. Look at what happened with Concord.
You can listen, you can only try to dominate someone's time for so long before people check out. Like, okay, there's one thing to try to dominate someone's time with a single player game because somebody could just pick up and play that game whenever the fuck they want. Right? You're not going to have any FOMO. You're not going to be missing out on potentially losing out on content that's only available in a 90-day season. And if you don't complete it in the 90-day season, you're going to lose it forever. There's none of that, right? Crimson Desert gives you all that content. You can play it. You can play it whenever the fuck you want, anytime you want. Pick it up, drop it. It doesn't matter. It's going to be there waiting for you when you're ready to experience it. That's fine. Right? There's nothing wrong with games that want to dominate your time as a single player game because you could drop it anytime you want and come back to it. But these other games that are live service games, they're like, oh, we want to dominate your time. We want you to be playing with us every day. We're going to give you login bonuses, daily login bonuses. You can only get these bonuses if you log in every day. And if you miss a day, they reset or some shit. Like it's clearly meant to try to dominate your time every single day as long as they possibly can. And so people get burnt out, man. You can only play so many live service games before you're like, fuck it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with it. Like, it's ridiculous. Most people only play 1 to 2 live service games. And that's if they even play live service games. I know a lot of people that don't. I know a lot of people that do. It's kind of all in between, you know? But they'll use the excuse like, oh, well, live service games, they maintain players. So because they maintain players longer than single player games, that means we got to keep making them. Then why are so many of them flopping and all these single player games are winning? Why is that? You know, like why is Resident Evil 9 fucking blowing doors down? Why is Crimson Desert blowing doors down? Why is Slay the Spire 2 blowing doors down? And live service games fucking Marathon struggling to keep 30K on a weekend? Why is that happening? Oh, but Marathon is fucking Marathon is niche. And you think a card game is not niche too? You think a card game is not niche? Come on, bro. What are we talking about? It's just, I don't know, man. Anyway, they're going to do what they're going to do.
It launched with huge expectations. It cost a fortune to make.
Fucking Concord.
And it shut down within a couple of weeks.
Nobody talks about Concord in any method. Nobody talks about Concord in any method other than failure. Like, if somebody wants to bring up failure, they mention Concord. It's not brought up in any other scenario other than that.
Gamers see these expensive live service experiments that nobody really asked for, and when they flop, a lot of people cheer. Not because they hate the developers who made them, but because it feels like the market is finally hearing.
I don't know why this is lagging. What I will say, though, is that you may say that we don't hate the developers, but what I will say is that a lot of developers hate us. A lot of developers hate us, and they make it very well known on their social medias, which is a whole nother problem.
Gamers' voices. And those voices.
I don't know what's going on with this video. I don't know why it's lagging all of a sudden. It's weird. Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Don't be gay. You're literally loaded up perfectly. Like, what's the deal? No DEI is mentioned? No, clearly not. Clearly not. I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on. Let me... There we go. Okay, I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Gatekeeping has been part of the problem too.
Let me go back.
It feels like the market is finally hearing gamers' voices. And those voices are saying, no, I'm not going to be an endless wallet for you. Gatekeeping has been part of the problem too. It started with game journalists and then moved to streamers and YouTubers.
You know, her saying that we're not going to be an endless wallet for you. You know, that hits so hard because if you notice, a lot of the industry is constantly trying to target Steam for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons is because Steam makes so much money while offering so much value in terms of pricing to their customers. And it is in my belief that Steam is one of the, especially since people are finding Steam at a mass scale, it is in my belief, in opinion, that Steam is one of the driving forces as to why gamers these days are fighting more than they ever did in terms of like what they want to open their wallets for. You know, so I think it's because of the availability of all these games on Steam and the growing backlogs that people have in their Steam libraries. That makes it less attractive, and the ability for FOMO marketing to affect somebody is at an all-time low, right? That's what I really think is going on. I think that because of these backlogs that people have with Steam, which a lot of people have crazy backlogs, it's because of that people are less enticed to be like, damn, man, I don't want to miss out on the latest hot release. You know, people really don't care, man. When you have all these options, they don't care as much, you know? Anyway, let's continue.
Game companies understandably want to control the message, so they offer early access or they pay the creators directly.
Oh, here we go.
It's hard for creators to make money on content, so many of them get lured in. We saw this clearly.
You know what she's talking about? She's talking about them shills, boy. She's talking about those creators on YouTube that swear that they are totally being honest. But then they have hashtag ad in their descriptions when they're playing certain highly specified video games, highly selected video games. They, you know, the little hashtag ad in the description. It's so funny. It's so funny. You know exactly who I don't have to say any names. You know exactly who they are.
The creators directly. It's hard for creators to make money on content, so many of them get lured in. We saw this.
I don't want to hear that bullshit about many of them get lured in. All right, I really don't. Again, it's one thing if you're gonna take something after the fact, whatever. Like I've said so many times before, you drop your review, you review the game honestly, and if the developers reach out to you and they're like, "Hey, we just want to send you something nice. Like, would you mind?" Whatever. That's something different. But like, if you have hashtag fucking ad in your description and you're playing the game for the first time and you're trying to say that what you're saying is objective, that's bullshit, bro. That's absolutely bullshit. And you know it's bullshit, bro. Come on. Like, why? I just hate. I've always said, listen, go get your bag, bro. Like, if you want to take money from these studios, by all means, brother. Take the money from these dumbass studios that think that you're going to influence people to buy the game or whatever. By all means, take the money. Take the money. But like, don't try to sit there and pretend like that's not what it is. Because that's really what pisses people off. If you're honest about it, then whatever, it's fine. But don't sit there and be like, oh, I'm not a shill. I gave you my honest opinion about the game. Brother, you got hashtag ad in your description. You cannot be brutally honest about the game. You might be able to be honest about some things, but you always have to hold back. That's the thing. You have to hold back. They know that. They get that. They understand that concept. But again, the entire discourse online is most people pretending like they don't understand what the fuck you're saying just so they can make discourse impossible. Happens all the time.
In 2016, when Warner Brothers settled with the FTC for paying influencers to post positive videos for Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor without proper disclosure. Millions of views later, gamers felt deceived.
Oh, wait. What?
This
Go back.
for paying
Go back. Hold on.
Or they pay the creators directly. It's hard for creators to make money on content, so many of them get lured in. We saw this clearly in 2016 when Warner Brothers settled with the FTC for paying influencers to post positive videos for Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor without proper disclosure.
Ooh.
Millions of views later, gamers felt deceived.
Oh, see, it's shit like that starts Gamergate situations. It's exactly situations like this is the stuff they don't talk about. Whenever you look up, you know, history and gaming and like, come on, bro. It's shit like this that is the reason why Gamergate situations happen in the first place. All the time, right? Influencers were paid thousands of dollars to promote Shadow of Mordor, but they never once told anybody about the promotion. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised whatsoever. This is why now the whole hashtag ad thing is a requirement on a lot of platforms. The hashtag ad thing is a requirement on a lot of platforms because of situations like this. And yes, Tiger King, I know. The ironic thing is that Shadow of Mordor actually is a good game. But it's not about the fucking game. It's about the fact that people were being paid to promote the game and then not being honest about it. They were lying about it. That's the problem, right? Because, again, you can have somebody say, hey, check out my game, but then you're not sponsored by them. That's something different, right? If you tell people, hey, this developer reached out to me to check out their game. I'm not sponsored by them. I paid for the game. I was curious about it. I'm going to check it out. That's different. But if they're actually paying you money, if they're paying you real fucking money, then that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother story, right?
This is big business. Of course, they're going to protect their investment, and that erodes trust even more. And that's the problem. The gatekeepers often make gamers feel like something is off. At best, they look out of touch. At worst, it feels like they're lying to us.
Well, that's always
Look at Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Oh,
okay,
no.
Critics gave it an 84.
Oh no. She said the magic words. Dragon Age the Veilguard. No. Where's my sad music? Hold on. You got to pull a barf down. You got to get down with 10 push-ups, right? Oh my God. What is she going to say about this game? Oh no.
Okay, critics gave it an 84 on Metacritic. Users, a 4. Compare that to Crimson Desert. It faced heavy backlash over the AI art issue and got hammered by some.
See, okay, heavy backlash though. Like, did it really get heavy backlash though? That's what I want to drive home. You know what I'm saying? Like, did it really get heavy backlash though? I don't think it did at all. I don't think it did. Like, it got all of these articles written about it, but did those articles actually cause any real fucking backlash whatsoever? Not really. Not really. If anything, all we did was just laugh at it. We all laughed at it as the game fucking skyrocketed to like 250,000, whatever it was, concurrent players. Nobody gave a shit about that. Very few people gave a shit about that. So the heavy backlash really didn't come from gamers, or it really didn't like affect gamers in any way. It was mainly just like, hey, look, all these journals are angry at the same thing, and they're all trying to convince everybody else to be angry, but nobody's listening. You know? So I don't know about that, but I guess whatever, from a mainstream perspective, I guess that's what she's talking about. She's talking about from a mainstream perspective versus the actual gamers, because she's going to mention the gamer score in a second. So hold on.
Desert. It faced heavy backlash over the AI art issue and got hammered by some. Yet many players are actually enjoying the gameplay, and the scores show it.
Yeah, there you go.
Gamers look at that and they start asking why one game seems protected while the other gets dragged no matter what.
Exactly. Okay. So she does. Okay, good. So she does say that. All right. So yeah, I mean, that's exactly the point. So she's right on that, where people start looking at stuff like that and they realize, okay, so why are you protecting this one game that everybody hates, right? You're protecting Dragon Age the Veilguard. The game's getting roasted by literally fucking everybody except for people that have an ideology to push. Verifiable, by the way. Like, you're not just making that up. This is something that's verifiable. Most people till this day who are now quiet about Dragon Age the Veilguard either never played it, or they played it a little bit and then they got bored and they dropped it and they went quiet hoping nobody would bring it up again. Right? It happens all the time, bro. People did it with fucking Highguard too. They were all saying Highguard's amazing. This is going to be the next amazing game. This is the #1 game ever. And then 2 days later, after their ad ran out, what were they doing? They were playing Arc Raiders. And then people were looking at them and they were like, why are you not playing Highguard? I thought you said Highguard was going to be the #1 best game ever. And they're like, yeah, bro, I just kind of want to get on Arc Raiders. I'm just feeling Arc Raiders today. I'm just feeling a little Arc Raiders today. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Stop bringing it up. It's just crazy, man. I don't know, dude. I just, bro, if you like a game, just say you like a game. If you hate a game, just say you hate a game. Stop fucking lying, bro. Stop bullshitting. Stop trying to pretend all this like gaslighting shit in order to protect your sponsors and stuff. That's why I can't do sponsors, bro. I can't do sponsors. There's too many fucking loose ends, man. I can't. These companies, no thanks. It's
And then there
crazy.
are the game developers that sometimes feel threatened on social media, so they lash out and try to control the narrative. And a lot of times they don't realize how out of touch they are with the actual people buying and playing their games.
Yep.
On the one hand, it's understandable. They're heads down working on the game for years. But with bigger teams, a lot of times you're also getting people on the project who are no longer there to make the best game possible. You get consultants or internal voices pushing priorities that have nothing to do with fun. Take the art director on Avowed. When he was challenged,
Yo, she said the quiet part out loud, boys. Hold on. Hold on. She's cooking. Wait. She said the quiet, bro. Ooh. Did you hear that? Say it again. Say it
are
again.
there to make the best game possible.
Wait. A little further back. A little further back. Hold on.
Down working on the game for years. But with bigger teams, a lot of times you're also getting people on the project who are no longer there to make the best game possible.
Oh. Damn, bro. She said sometimes on these bigger teams, you're not going to get people who are there to try to make the best game possible. Oof. Oof. Damn. All right. That was good. I like that. I like that. Just say the quiet part. You know what's crazy, man? So Laura Fryer is somebody who has all the experience in the world, okay? From like the gaming industry perspective. She's been through it all. All right. She's been through it all. She's not perfect. She's said things before that I've disagreed with, and that's fine. We're allowed to disagree and still be fucking normal people. Well, I mean, unless you're on Twitter, then that's not possible. But regardless, she's not perfect. But at the end of the day, one thing about Laura Fryer is that when she calls out people like that and she says things like that, nobody ever questions her. Do you notice how all these weird fucking psychos on Twitter, the wokies, whatever you want to call them, you notice how they'll never talk about her videos? Very, very rarely. They'll never talk about her videos. They'll never reference her. They'll never say anything because she's cooking. And they can't say that she doesn't know what she's talking about. They can't say that she does. What are you going to go to Laura Fryer and be like, well, you don't know what the fuck you're talking? Really? You can't do that. You can't do that. She knows that. So it's because they can't do the typical bullshit, the typical gaslighting against her. They don't even bother. They don't even bother going her way to try to, talk about what she's talking about. Because what are you going to say? She doesn't have the experience? Bro, really? She's done more than all these people have probably done combined. So anyway, let's continue.
You get consultants or internal voices pushing priorities that have nothing.
Yo, wait. I didn't realize she said the thing. Did she call out consultants?
Who are no longer there to make the best game possible. You get consultants or internal voices pushing priorities that have nothing to do with fun.
Oh my God. Oh, I didn't get this far in the video. Damn, brother. She said that. Yeah, she said the thing. She's calling out consultants too. Oh man. Damn, bro. Such as Sweet Baby Baby. I don't know, man. This is. Oh, she's cooking on this one.
Take
the external voices.
The art director on Avowed. When he was challenged about.
And the art director on Avowed. Now, the funny thing is, bro, Laura Fryer, she must have a hard on for this guy, Matt Stanson, whatever his name is. Because she's mentioned him as a failure. Like she's mentioned him and his mistakes in multiple videos. Every time she needs to bring up a developer who acted stupid on social media, she always brings his name up. The guy Matt, yeah, all the time. It's actually kind of funny. So to hear her doing it again, it's like, damn, bro, she got to keep feltoning this guy. It's crazy.
Some of his creative choices. He posted that he so badly wanted to make Elon Musk mad with his game.
Yeah, because he's stupid.
Obviously, his focus wasn't on making a fun game for the players. It was about pushing a message.
Oh my God, bro. She is cooking. She is absolutely cooking.
That message has reach. Controversial rage bait gets amplified fast on social media. Even when developers are trying to be measured, their words can get twisted, and the next thing you know, their game is caught in the crossfire. And this is why we're here today.
Facts. All it takes is one dumb motherfucker. That's really all it is. All it takes is one stupid person to ruin it for everybody else. In the sense of like with Matt, right? So Matt decided his hatred for Elon Musk was more important than his company's game doing well, or at least his company's game not being in the crossfire of internet outrage for a multitude of different, well-documented, well-proper reasons. Like he said to himself, yup, I'm going to risk it all. Well, actually, no, to be fair, he probably thought in his mind he wasn't risking anything because these people live in a world, they live in a bubble that they think that everybody thinks like them. They truly believe. Keep in mind, guys, these studios, they purposely surround themselves with people who think like they do. They execute, like they get rid of people with wrong think. They make sure to hunt down people that have wrong think, which we're going to cover in another story about Halo's the Halo story that came out recently. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, how they hunt down people who seemingly have wrong think and get them out and replace them with people that have right think, right? So yeah, exactly. Birds of a feather flock together. So it's he in his mind, he probably thought that whatever he was going to do was not going to be that detrimental because everybody thinks like him. Everybody who's normal thinks like him, according to his own mind. And then he found out, well, that's not the case. You know?
Camaraderie we used to have took a real hit. When the relationship is built on how much more can I get you to spend on my game, trust erodes fast. When your favorite influencer or journalist is suddenly praising a game that clearly isn't good, trust erodes fast.
Oh my God. Oh, this is too good. This is too good, man. This is too good. I've seen her videos before, and she's done some pretty good videos, but goddamn, now we're calling out journos. Oof. Oof. We're calling out journos, boys. This is when it's going to get interesting. I mean, listen, it's one of those things where the gaslighting, I think, is the most insulting thing about all of it. When you have access media gaslighting you and telling you that what you are seeing with your eyes, what you're hearing with your ears, what you're smelling with your nose, that is not happening. When they look at you and they tell you that all of your senses that are firing off and you're seeing all of this go down in front of you, and then they're like, that's not happening. Stop recognizing things. It gets to the point where it's like, what the fuck are we doing? The gaslighting is the most insulting thing by far in this entire conversation that is known as the Western gaming industry. If you could stop the gaslighting and just be honest about what you're doing, I think a lot of people, not that there would be more understanding, but I think there would just overall be a method of communication that would open up between all sides. We know you're doing access media. You're trying to convince people that's not happening. We know that that's happening because we can see it happening, and you're trying to say, well, that's not happening. You know, so it's like, I think the gaslighting is probably the worst part of all of it, you know, but anyway.
And when you find your favorite game maker is more focused on pushing a message instead of making a great game, trust erodes fast.
Oh my God.
I started as a board gamer because that's all we had when I was a kid. But as soon as I could start playing video games, I did. And I remember how magical those early days were. And as a gamer first and later a game developer, I see both sides. And when I look at this rift, it's heartbreaking, right? Game developers just want to make the games that they love. They want to make a game and let everything like the money and how we get to the...
Listen, man, people have been critical about video games for years. Okay, it's been like that for as long as I can remember. We used to have all kinds of bullshit, people talking shit. Like that's always gonna be here. And the people that pretend like it was never here, you're a fucking tourist. I'm sorry. You're a fucking tourist. However, the shit talking aside, we were able to communicate with developers to some extent. There was always that feeling of, you know, developers are trying to reach out to gamers and get their games shown, and they were generally excited. Now they actually fucking hate a lot of their customers. And it creates this situation where it's like, once you do that enough times, now that's going to be the assumption. That's going to be the rule, not the exception. I'm going to assume that you automatically hate me based off a little bit of your actions and how you present yourself. You know? I just, you know, I remember the shit, man. Remember the shit talking from, we're going to go way back, boys. You guys ready for this? Remember SOCOM? Remember SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs, one of the best video games of all time, that also had some of the worst fucking cheating imaginable of all time? You know the amount of shit talking we used to do in the lobbies of SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs? Brother, you want to talk about Call of Duty lobbies? That was pre-Call of Duty lobbies, okay? We're talking like with the worst microphone. Remember they used to sell it with the microphone? Well, actually, let me take that back. I don't know if they sold it. I think they did sell it with the microphone. Oh, it was like an attachment. Regardless, whatever. The amount of shit talking that we were doing in SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs was amazing. But it was so damn fun, man. It was unbelievably fun. And that game, you know, walked so that games like Call of Duty could run in the future and stuff. But anyway, the point is, shit talking is always going to be here. It's always going to be in the gaming stuff. Always. That's never, when I tell you that's never going away, it is never going away. But we all used to be able to shit talk, and at the end of the day, get together and play the game. Right? If you had a problem with someone, brother, you got in the game, and you just fought each other. Right? And you just killed each other, and that's it. That's it. That's all it was. You didn't do none of this fucking gay shit on social media where now you have people that pretend to be gamers that are going around and trying to cancel their ideological fucking opponents based off politics that have nothing to do with the game. You got all this kind of fucking nonsense. You got people make like, it's crazy, man. People, you know what game people are playing now? Twitter. That's the game people are playing now. People are playing Twitter. They're not playing actual games. So the shit talking is going to be here and it's going to stay. But the problem is that social media has made a situation where these developers that, by the way, now these teams are so big. Like she said, teams used to be anywhere between 10 to 100 at the most. Now you got teams of anywhere between 200 to fucking 3,000 if you're Ubisoft, you know? You got these massive teams, which means that the chances of you having a psychopath amongst your ranks is a lot higher than it used to be. So now you have a much bigger team with a higher chance of psychopathic behavior, and now you have social media encouraging the narcissism of those psychopaths. And when you combine all that together, you get a situation like Matt Hansen or whatever the fuck his name is at Avowed, like she mentioned. Right? That's where you end up with a situation like, oh, okay, he's retarded, right? Like, why would you tank the entire perception of your game and your studio all because you wanted to make Elon Musk angry? Do you even think Elon Musk knows who you are? Do you think he cares? Do you think he really gives a fuck about who Matt Hansen is? Brother, come on, man. You really fucked over your entire team to try to anger Elon Musk. That man is out there laughing at you if he even knows who you are. It's so stupid. But again, it's the people who view everything as, well, the world revolves around me. The world revolves around me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man.
The next one sort itself out. And most players just want to play the game. They don't want to have to try to figure out how they're being conned or spend hours researching to make sure that the game that they're being sold is what they're actually buying.
True.
I still long for those simpler days. I understand things change, but I also believe we can get back to what made gaming special. At some point, the game makers and the players need to give each other some grace, because we are all on the same team. At the end of the day, we all want great games to play and to make.
I mean, I would love to think that. I really would, but I think those days are long gone. I think it's going to take a radical change in the industry for that to I'm going to link the video, by the way. This video was amazing. Great job, Laura Fryer. Fantastic. Fantastic job. Very honest, very open. I feel like it's going to take such a drastic change for that to ever happen again. And it's going to take something where this industry is just going to have to, as crazy as it sounds, it's really going to have to, I don't know if saying burning to the ground is too extreme, but ultimately it needs a pretty strong reset. It needs a really, really strong reset, because people in this industry just genuinely hate the fucking customers that they're selling games to. I think it's crazy that we are in an industry where people are saying that they hate the customers, and meanwhile, they also are asking for your money through multiple different avenues, whether it's DLCs, selling the base game, making it a live service game, whatever it may be. I just really think it's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't. I don't know what it's going to take. And keep in mind, Internet Peasant, he says, I disagree. Indie is the way forward. The indie industry is also co-opted by a ton of absolute crazies. If you think the indie industry doesn't have people that are on social media attacking people for political views, I guarantee you that is happening. If you want a prime example, remember the indie developer that was angry because their trailer was showcased without their permission on what they deemed to be an alt-right game award show? Meanwhile, he's getting free press. Didn't have to, all they said was they really liked his game, and that's it. He said, "Don't touch my game. Don't buy my game. My game's not for you, fucking whatever, like right wingers or whatever the case." It was the dumbest shit that I've ever seen. It's like Michael Jordan's famous line is that Republicans buy shoes too, and that line is what a lot of business owners need to remember before they start going on a fucking crazy tirade on social media. Pretending like they're too good to be sold to whoever kind of person. Yeah, exactly. Winter Burrows was an example, right? But this can all go down to one simple truth, is that, like I told you guys the other day, social media has exacerbated the political problem in the sense that everybody is now using politics for clout. That's just what it is for a lot of accounts on social media. You had people that 20 years ago would have never cared about politics in the slightest. They would have considered politics to be the old man thing. Now, all of a sudden, you got all these young people utilizing social media and politics in order to grow their accounts, pretending like they care, which ends up turning everything into a hive mind thing, and all this craziness starts happening. And it's a fucking nightmare. It really is. So, yes, I know indie games are definitely pulling the weight in terms of the industry lately. I know that. But ultimately, it doesn't make them immune to a lot of the situations that are affecting the AAA industry. And the truth, too, is that a lot of AAA developers are leaving AAA to go make their own indie studios. Some of those indie studios will end up finding success. When they find success, some of them will want to grow and become their own AA and AAA studios. And then the cycle continues. If those studios, once they grow, end up becoming public companies, now when it becomes public, now you got the same shit that you were dealing with when you left the first time. And the cycle just keeps going, The cycle just keeps going over and over and over. So in any case, great video by Laura Fryer. That was fucking awesome. I'm going to link it in the chat right now. By all means, please go watch her video, give her a review, comment, tell her where you saw it. I linked it both in YouTube and on Rumble.